Well, what we should be worried about right now is unemployment, mass suffering unemployment. All people, it's a terrible thing to lose your job, and we've got millions out of work. We don't have to be worried about using deficits to correct that. There's no doubt that further government spending, investments on roads and stuff like that could make a tremendous difference getting people back to work.
That's the major difference. The major difference is that there's no end in sight. All we see is the debt growing and growing and growing. And that's a real problem. One of the things that puts this in perspective is that we really haven't started our deficit situation with Social Security in any significant way. That is only getting started.
As we go forward into the future, we want to bring deficits down, but for right now, for a temporary time, this is exactly when we should be running deficits. We will add some to the national debt. We're not in any kind of danger zone now. We basically, our government owes it to our people, and so it mostly stays within our system.
If I loan you money and you go out and spend it on beer and a party, and I come back and ask for you to pay me back and you don't have it, well, I'm still out the money that you paid me. It doesn't, again, matter who you are and under what terms I gave you that money.
Isn't that counterintuitive, though? If I'm $100,000 in debt and I take out another $100,000 loan, how am I better off instead of being worse off?
Lots of this is counterintuitive because the government's relationship to its own citizens is just not the same as an individual and your relationship to your bank. It's completely different, really. The government, it's a cliche to say it, but the government, we really do owe it to ourselves through our government.
If we can keep on our current trajectory, nothing changes except for spending goes up. What will ultimately happen is that foreign investors will lose faith in the dollar, or we will have to literally print additional dollars and devaluate the value of the dollar in order to pay that, and that'll further create angst and disinvestment in the United States. And that's really the number one thing that could happen.
But in a globalized economy, if we possibly down the road are not the world's default currency, isn't this debt going to possibly bite us if it hasn't already?
It hasn't already. We owe foreigners a lot of money, and they owe us a lot of money. It's an international economy. We both have big investments in each other's economy, if you can think of it in terms of foreigners versus Americans. And this national debt is just one of the forms of investments that people have here. If foreigners decided to get rid of all their U.S. public bonds, they would just trade it for other things like shopping centers and stock in General Motors and so forth. Americans pay foreigners on all their debt, no matter what it is. Foreigners pay us on all our assets that we own overseas. It just doesn't make any difference.
Yes, we are the world's reserve currency currently. That is a very prestigious and beneficial thing for the United States Treasury because we print money and other countries take it. Very little questions asked about the fiscal management of our nation, but that situation cannot sustain itself forever.
So what should we do?
Well, we need to restrain the federal budget. Simple as that. I prefer smart, targeted cuts at programs that we know are not working. Department of Education, agriculture subsidies. I think some defense spending cuts are certainly in order. Entitlement reform is definitely in order. And these will stimulate the economy, not take away from the economy, because ultimately we are more efficient users of our own resources than the government can ever be.